Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'll be comparing the Samsung Galaxy S7 with the Galaxy S7 Edge. Now before we start this comparison, I would like to pass a special thanks to Clove Technology who sent me the Galaxy S7 review unit. I also purchased the S7 Edge for my personal needs from Clove Technology as well, and by the way, there is a wicked deal going on. If you buy the S7 or the S7 Edge, you get a free Samsung level speaker, which I've got right there at the back, and also you get a case as well, which Clove were kind enough to send me along with the speaker as well. So if you buy the S7 or the S7 Edge from Clove Technology, guys, you're going to be getting a free flip case along with the Samsung level mini speaker as well. So I'll leave a link down below under description, guys. Feel free to have a look and see should you wish to buy from Clove Technology. Both the S7 and the S7 Edge in the video here, guys, are the international variants. What that means is that they both have the Samsung's own Exynos 8890 octa-core chipset and not the quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 820. The Snapdragon 820 variants were released in America and the Far East. Both have exactly the same specs, meaning same internals. They both share, like I said, the Exynos 8890 octa-core chipset along with 4 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and both have a quad HD screens, 2560 by 1440. Both have exactly the same cameras, the 12 megapixel dual pixel camera, and also both have an LED flash at the back as well. But there's still two differences. The first difference is obviously, which is the screen size. The S7 has a 5.1 inch screen, whereas the S7 Edge has 5.5 inch screen. Both have exactly the same internals, like I said, guys. They both have the Exynos 8890 octa-core chipset along with 4GB LPDDR4 RAM. Both also have the exact same camera at the back and the 12 megapixel dual pixel camera along with the LED flash. But the two major differences which I'm here to speak about today, guys, is the battery size first of all, and secondly the screen size. Now this is a factor which obviously is bothering a lot of people out there. This video has been requested quite a few times in the last few weeks ever since I had the phones, and people are very keen to find out how does the battery life differ between the two, and should they go for the S7 or the S7 Edge based on the screen size as well. I will be specifically talking about these two things in this video, guys. This might be a slightly longer video, so please be patient, and if you're looking for your answers, I'm sure somewhere in the video you will find answers to all your questions. First of all, let's start with the battery life. Now, when it comes to battery life, both phones have great stamina. I've been using both the phones for a couple of weeks and I have collected many stats, and I will be showing you in just a moment the screen on times on Wi-Fi, 4G, standby, everything. By the way, I've already done a video on battery for the S7 Edge. I will leave a link down below if you want to have a look in detail. I haven't done a video for the S7 because I got the S7 slightly later than the S7 Edge. The review unit was sent to me just after a few weeks once I got my S7 Edge. So anyways, like I said, I've spent enough time with both the phones, and right now I will show you some screen on times on the S7 first of all, and I will show you the S7 Edge screen on time later. In my experience, guys, of living with the phone for the past few weeks, I've noticed that the phone's stamina is very nice. It's very efficient, and it will not disappoint you at all. I'm getting an average of around 5 to 6 hours of screen on time. I will show you some stats here, guys. First of all, in fact, let's start off with the very first one here. As you can see, I was using the phone pretty heavily on Wi-Fi, mostly down to 5%, and after a long day I was able to get, as you can see here, guys, 5 hours and 53 minutes of screen on time with the battery down to 5%. Now this is a very good performance for a phone which has only a 3000 mAh battery. Well, I say only though, but if you look at the screen size 5.1, I think Samsung have put us quite a big battery. Traditionally back in the old days with the S5 and the S6, we always had smaller batteries and people were getting very frustrated. Finally, Samsung listened to the feedback from the users from last year and the complaints about battery life, and finally they have given you a big massive battery on the S7. So it's a 3000 mAh battery and on a 5.1 screen with the great Samsung optimizations. Everything seems to be working really good, guys. As you can see, I've got 5 hours and 53 minutes of screen on time. I'll show you more stats here. I left the phone on standby I think it was overnight, around 3:32 in the morning at 100%. And with the always screen during this standby, guys, the always on display was actually switched on. So all these stats were collected whilst the always on display was switched on, and it went down to 91% after about, I would say, 8-9 hours, so 1% every hour, which pretty much what Samsung claims as well. So let's go further down. As you can see, guys, here I've been taking quite long screenshots, down to 10% with the Wi-Fi and a bit of 4G as well. I was able to get 5 hours and 1 minute of screen on time. So as you can see, the phone is very capable, and you should be able to get over 5 hours of screen on time without any issues whatsoever. Okay, let me show you some more stats here. Again, down to 50% on 4G, guys. I was very impressed. I was using just 4G only, and even at time with 4G, the phone showed some great stamina. 3 hours and 45 minutes of screen on time with battery down to 50% and only with 4G. So not too bad, decent performance once again. And when I finished the same battery at 5% with 4G LTE only, I was able to achieve nearly 6 hours of screen on time. As you guys can see, this is really well done. And I don't think so there's any other phone in the world with this kind of screen size and battery capacity which will give you almost 6 hours of screen on time on 4G LTE. On 4G LTE, normally phones struggle. Phones from LG, phones from HTC and Sony, they don't give you as much screen on time on 4G LTE. So they're thumbs up to Samsung's great optimizations, and I think they've done really well this year around by putting bigger batteries in the phone. So now here, as you can see, I took this screenshot specifically because I wanted to show you guys that I have all these readings after this was with the smart stay off. That means the always on display was actually off. Sorry, this one here, always on display was off. So as you can see, at 100% at 21:47, I left the phone on standby, and when I got up in the morning around 5:30, guys, you can see it had only lost 1%. So if you had your always on display off, you're likely to save a lot of battery life in standby. With the always on display on, you will lose 1%, like Samsung says, every 1 hour. So great stamina when the always on display is actually switched off. Again, as you can see here, I think I was using 4G, Wi-Fi, a bit of mixed use here and there, and I was getting again 2 hours and 44 minutes at around 50%. Once again, this will probably end up around 5 to 6 hours of screen on time, 4 hours and 5 minutes at 20%. So that would have easily touched 5 hours, probably gone beyond 5 hours as well. So like I said, decent stamina, guys. The phone has got great stamina, and it will give you plenty of screen on time both on 4G LTE and also on Wi-Fi as well. Again, 5 hours and 31 minutes, battery down to 5%, mix of 4G LTE and Wi-Fi both. So the phone is very capable of giving you over 5 hours and maybe close to 6 hours of screen on time, depending on how I use. But I mostly use my social media. I take a few photos, watch an odd YouTube video here and there, make a few phone calls, guys, WhatsApp, Viber, Facebook, and all that kind of normal stuff. So with that kind of use, you should be able to get 5 hours plus of screen on time with no issues whatsoever. So this is what you're getting from the Samsung Galaxy S7. Now, when it comes to the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, guys, I was very impressed with the S7 Edge stamina. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, guys, because I've already spoken about this. Like I said, I've got a dedicated video already, but still, because it's a comparison, so I'll quickly show you anyway regardless. So let's first of all go into my screenshots here, and I'll show you the very first one, which wasn't in part of my video, which I just took today for this video specifically. As you guys can see here, I got 9 hours and 17 minutes of screen on time with battery down to 4%. This was purely on Wi-Fi, guys. I wanted to see, and the brightness was kept at around 40%. My last video, in which I showed you, discussed the battery life, I mostly keep my screen brightness around 60%, 70%. But in this instance, I kept it just under 50%. This was part of my regular testing, which I would do with the phones all year long, especially the ones which I keep for a long time. S7 Edge will be with me for throughout 2016. I'll be keeping it for a while, and I'll be showing you my stats on my social media links. So please make sure, guys, you follow me on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter, as I regularly post battery stats and many other stuff about the phones in general. So as you can see, 9 hours and 17 minutes of screen on time, guys. You should be expecting plenty of screen on time with this phone on Wi-Fi. As you can see here, again, I was down to 4%, and my usage included fairly. As you can see, I was using Chrome, Google+, listening to music via Bluetooth as well, Swift keyboard, Google app, and there was quite a lot going on. I was also watching a couple of episodes of Daredevil as well. Okay, so here again, this thing is very nice as well. The app power saving, every now and then it pops up and you can stop the apps running at the back end. I hardly use this, guys, but despite of me not using this, still the phone is giving me a very good screen on time. Similarly here, as you can see, and this was the same thing from earlier, at around 50% I was able to achieve 5 hours and 3 minutes of screen on time. This is the kind of screen on time normally a flagship phone with a quad HD screen will probably give you around, with the full battery and not half the battery. So well done again, Samsung, for the great optimizations that they have. And I've been using the phone. I normally use the phone very heavily, guys, because I'm a YouTuber. I get lots of emails, notifications, and Facebook notifications. There's so much going on my phone every day. So I'm not the kind of person who you see just looking at the screen trying to collect all these screen on time figures. I actually use my phone quite heavily, guys, and I do a lot with my phone on an everyday basis. I've also been getting this People Edge update from the Samsung's own Galaxy App Store, not the Play Store, which hasn't made any much of a difference to my phone's edge screen anyway, but nevertheless it's good to get OT updates every now and then, even from Samsung's own Galaxy Store as well. Here again you can see, guys, 6 hours of screen on time with the battery down to 23%, and this would have probably easily hit around 8 hours or 8.5 hours of screen on time, or maybe more depending on how you use the phone. So the S7 Edge, guys, is an extremely capable phone, and it will give you a hell lot more than the S7, depending on how you use. If you use the Wi-Fi on S7, you're most likely to get around 6 to 6.5 hours of screen on time. Well, with the S7 Edge, you're most likely going to be getting around 7 to 8 hours of screen on time, which is absolutely amazing. Now this phone has 3600 mAh battery, which is even more than the Note 5 and more than the S6 Edge Plus from last year. So it was bound to happen. That's why I got this phone for my personal use straight away. I knew that the battery life on this phone is going to be wicked. So if you're a battery life fanatic like me, for instance, if you want your phone to be lasting you maybe over a day and you want heavy aggressive use, then I would suggest go for the for the S7 Edge. And if you want your phone to give you, if you're happy with 5 to 6 hours screen on time, which I think personally for an average person is more than enough screen on time for a full working day, then I think you should go for the S7 and not the S7 Edge if you want to save money. Obviously the S7 is cheaper than the S7 Edge, so if that's what something is on your mind, then you should go for the S7. But if you're like me, guys, if you're an absolute battery fanatic and you do not want your phone to die, no matter what you do for the whole day, you watch stream videos, you do your social media bits, and you take photos, and you still want the juice in your battery left for the next day, then S7 Edge is the one. But for a full working day, guys, with around 5.5 to 6 hours of screen on time, so S7 Edge will be okay for most people anyway, so it wouldn't be a problem. Now when it comes to the actual size of the phone, the S7 has, obviously, as you guys know, got a 5.1 inch screen as compared to the 5.5 inch offering on the S7 Edge. Now a lot of people have been asking me for the past few weeks, how does it feel in hand and which one should they go for, because they're confused. Well, I will answer that question, guys, in just a moment, but before we do that, let's do a direct comparison and see how the phones are in terms of width, in terms of size. Now if you have a look at here, let me hold it sideways and show you this, guys, very clearly. As you can see here, this is here the left hand side of the phone where the volume rockers are. Now both phones have metal frame surrounding all the way across, as you can see at the bottom as well. So pretty much the same from what I can see here so far. Also on the right hand side, as you can see, this is where the power button is, and pretty much the same on here as well, where now up top you can see both have this the extra mic, noise cancellation mic, and also the SD card and the SIM slot as well. As you can see, the S7 Edge obviously is slightly wider than the S7 because of the bigger screen size. So when it comes to the actual form factor of actually holding the phone in your hand, I would say that the S7 obviously is the more comfortable one in holding in your hands, because obviously it's got less width on it. But there's one thing which I've noticed and I specifically wanted to talk about is the actual in-hand feel when it comes to the phone being slippery. I find for some reason the S7 being more slippery than the S7 Edge. Now the only reason I could think of is because the dual curved edges are at the front on the S7 Edge, and because they just come along nicely with the frame, and also both the phones have a dual curved back as well. So both the curved edges on the back and at the front of the S7 Edge actually gives you a better grip, and it's more reassuring as compared to the S7. The S7 also has the same dual curved back as well, as you can see, guys, here. It has the same dual curved back as well on the left and on the right hand side, but because it's got a flatter screen, so I find it for some reason at times a bit more slippery. Obviously the screen size is smaller as compared to the S7 Edge, but maybe because I've got bigger hands, and that's why I find the S7 to be a bit more slippery as compared to the S7 Edge. S7 Edge, like I said, has dual curved edges at the front and at the back both, as opposed to just the dual curves at the back of the S7. I find the S7 Edge a bit more grippy as compared to the S7, and it can vary. Obviously, obviously I've got bigger hands, like I said. If you have smaller hands, you probably will find the S7 much more easy to grip, but for some odd reason, if you have the hand size like I have, bigger hands, I think you might actually find the S7 to be a bit more slippery as compared to the S7 Edge. Now when it comes to the actually using the phone day-to-day basis, obviously the S7 Edge has got a bigger screen, so if you're going to be doing the one-hand task, it will be okay, but when it comes to actually stretching your thumb all the way across to the very top, you'll have to stretch your thumb right like that in order to get access the notification panel or things like that. But if you're using your phone just like that, guys, without actually doing anything else, I think the S7 Edge still has a very good decent size. I prefer bigger screens, and the reason for that is because I like to obviously watch movies and watch a lot of YouTube videos, and when I'm taking photos, I want my camera to have a bigger screen so that I can see what I'm actually doing. Now when it comes to the S7, guys, it's obviously easier as compared to the S7 Edge. It is much easier to handle with one hand, and especially when you're using like that, if you just obviously got to move your thumb all the way across, it's much easier to grip as well, and also easier for you to pull the notification panel down without sliding the phone too much down. So obviously when it comes to interacting with the screen, guys, you're going to find it much easier with the S7 as compared to the S7 Edge when it comes to moving across and doing different tasks. Whether you're a left-handy or you are a right-handed person, you will find it obviously much easier. But like I said, I personally am a fan of a bigger screen, guys. I like bigger screens, so I think I would rather opt for the S7 Edge and not the S7 when it comes to the actual screen size. Weight wise, both are this is I think around 157 grams, the S7 Edge, whereas the S7 is around 152 grams. Despite having a bigger screen, S7 Edge is very light. And also, if you see this carefully, guys, I wanted to show you this as well. Something also which I noticed, the S7 is actually slightly thicker than the S7 Edge, and that could also be the reason that why I'm feeling that the S7 is a bit more slippery as compared to the S7 Edge. The dual curved edges on both front and the back obviously helps in gripping the S7 Edge better than the S7, but the thickness obviously matters as well, so you keep that in mind. The S7 is slightly thicker than the S7 Edge. So it's the difference is quite obvious, and you will see that straight away anyway. Also keep in mind that often I find, when I'm playing with the phone, double tap to home screen often activates the camera, like you saw in the video. It's happened a few times already when I'm doing stuff. Sometimes it's in my pocket and I don't realize, and when I take the phone out of my pocket, and all of a sudden I find that the camera is switched on. So I'm not that big a fan of double tap to turn your camera on. I'd rather have it disabled and use the camera once I get into the phone. But apart from that, guys, I think like I said, size is obviously a difference, but then also it matters. It all depends to you. It all is down to your personal preference. If you like bigger phones, I would say go for the S7 Edge. I find the S7 Edge a bit more grippy because of the dual curved front edges, which gives you a better grip in your palm as compared to the S7, which has a flatter screen, and at times I feel as if the S7 is more slippery as compared to the S7 Edge. So guys, this was all I wanted to talk to you about the battery life and the screen size, and which one would suit you more. I think majority of people, according to what is happening these days, people like to have big phones. Everybody is going for a Galaxy Note and they want bigger size. I think Samsung's done very well. I often found myself Galaxy Note to be a slightly bigger phone, so I never opted for a Galaxy Note before, and I always used to end up with the regular Galaxy S6 and the S6 Edge from last year. But I think they've done very well by introducing something in between the Note and the regular phone, and 5.5 for me personally, and I think in my opinion for majority of people the S7 Edge is going to be the ideal size for a phone which is not too big and not too small, and just the right size. But for those who have got smaller hands, who prefer smaller screens, I would say go for the S7. So guys, this is pretty much it. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. Any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments section, and please subscribe, guys, as it helps, and I shall see you in the next video.